My name is Evelyn Torres. I'm 48 years old, and 5 years ago, I walked into that office with nothing but a borrowed blazer and a promise I'd made to myself to never be invisible again. I was the first to arrive, last to leave, never late, never careless. My reports were spotless, my clients loyal. I trained 3 of the people who later became team leaders, and then came the announcement. Team Operations Manager Lucas Grant. The room clapped. I didn't. Lucas was 26, fresh out of business school, and more importantly, Mr. Dillard's nephew. He'd only been with us for 10 months. That night, I sat in my car for nearly 2 hours. No music, no tears, just a storm building inside me I didn't yet know how to name. I confronted Mr. Dillard the next morning. 5 years, perfect record, not a single warning. And you choose Lucas? He didn't flinch, just leaned back and smiled like he pitied me. It's not just about performance, Evelyn. It's about vision. Vision, I repeated. You mean bloodline? He chuckled. You're overreacting. Besides, I think you'll find Lucas very open to hearing your ideas. Like I was supposed to train the kid who leapfrogged me. That evening, I submitted my resignation. 2 weeks' notice. Nothing dramatic, just a single email. But inside me, something had snapped, and something else, something deeper, had started to rise. And that's when the calls began. First from old clients, then from a name I never thought I'd hear again. The man I once loved, the man who'd walked away with half my savings, and a promise he swore he'd keep. The city where I lived wasn't known for second chances. People here aged fast. Dreams faded even faster. And for women like me, divorced, no children, no powerful last name, climbing meant bleeding. I lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment above a bakery. Every morning, the smell of warm bread drifted through my window before the alarm even rang. I liked that. Mrs. Langley, the old widow who ran the bakery, always saved me a slice of walnut pie. She used to say, "You've got a fire in you, Evelyn, but be careful who you warm." She had no idea how right she was. At work, I built my name from the ground up. I never took sick days. I handled accounts no one else wanted. I even helped the company recover after a major data breach, working 3 nights straight with no sleep. People respected me, but they never chose me. And Lucas, well, he wasn't a bad kid. He just didn't know the weight of real work. He once asked me if I could simplify the monthly reports because they gave him a headache. I stared at him, speechless. Meanwhile, my best friend at work, Dana, tried to calm me down. Look, Evie, maybe this isn't about you. Maybe they're grooming him because of family. Exactly, I snapped. And I'm just supposed to clap while they pass over me again? Dana lowered her voice. You could always start your own firm. You've got contacts, skills, and faith. Faith, I whispered. I hadn't thought about that word in years, but it lingered. That night, I found a note slipped under my door. No name, just a phone number and 2 words. Let's rebuild. I didn't call the number right away. I stared at it for days, letting it sit on my nightstand like a dare. In the meantime, word got out that I was leaving. Some colleagues avoided me. Others offered half-hearted condolences. Only Dana hugged me like she meant it. You're doing the right thing, she whispered. Some doors only open when you walk away from the wrong ones. The day before my last, Mr. Dillard asked to see me. He stood by the window, arms crossed, looking at the city skyline like it belonged to him. I'm surprised, he said without turning. After all we gave you. I didn't blink. You didn't give me anything. I earned every inch. He finally faced me. You'll regret this. I smiled. Maybe, but at least I won't keep playing a rigged game. That night, I called the number. A deep voice answered. Evelyn. I froze. It was him, Jacob. 10 years ago, we were engaged. He was charming, driven, and reckless. He said he had a plan to make us rich. Instead, he vanished with our joint savings, left nothing but a voicemail. I'll come back for you when I'm worthy. Now he was back. Meet me tomorrow, he said. Same place as before, noon. I should have hung up, but I didn't. The next day, I stood at that same park bench, clutching a paper bag with 2 coffees, and there he was, older, worn, but still him. I've changed, he said. I don't believe in fairy tales anymore, I replied. He nodded. Neither do I. That's why I brought this. He handed me a folder. Inside, a business proposal, 5 investment contacts, and a check. A real one. I stared at the check like it might vanish. It was made out to me. $10,000. I've been saving it, Jacob said. Every cent I took from you, plus interest. Why now? I asked. Why after all these years? He looked down. Because I finally stopped chasing shortcuts. I got clean. I worked hard. And I realized some debts aren't just financial. I didn't know whether to slap him or hug him, so I did neither. Instead, I said, if this is your way of getting back into my life, it's not, he interrupted. This is about you, Evelyn. You have what it takes to build something. You always did. I just couldn't see it back then. I didn't trust him, but I trusted the fire in me. That night, I called Dana. I think I'm going to do it, I said. Start something new. She squealed. You're serious? Evelyn, this is huge. I need help. Legal paperwork, branding, maybe a website? I'm in, she said instantly. I'll work nights if I have to. We'll make this work. Within a week, we had a name, New Torch Consulting. I cashed the check, rented a small office above Mrs. Langley's bakery, set up our first presentation for potential clients, and then Lucas called me. I heard you're starting something, he said, his voice tight. Uncle says you'll burn out in 6 months. I smiled. Tell your uncle this. I'd rather burn out doing what's right than rust away serving what's wrong. And I hung up. 2 days later, the first client signed on, a small but reputable family business. Tired of banks, tired of empty promises. We helped them restructure their debt, renegotiate their credit cards, and reclaim ownership of their future. Word began to spread. 3 months in, we had 5 clients. Dana and I were working day and night, fueled by takeout coffee and adrenaline. I hadn't seen Jacob since that day in the park, until he showed up at my office, holding a worn Bible in his hand. Can I come in? He asked gently. I hesitated. He looked thinner, tired, but his eyes, those same wild eyes, held something new, humility. I just wanted to say thank you, he said, for giving me a chance to do something right. He handed me the Bible. I read this every morning now. One verse hit me hard this week. Proverbs 13:11. Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. That was me, Evelyn. I was chasing dishonest money. I thought speed meant success. I said nothing, just listened. I'm not here to ask for anything, he added, but if you ever need help, real help, I'll be around. I nodded slowly. I believe you, but this time I'm building on stone, not sand. He smiled. That's all I ever hoped you'd say. That same afternoon, an email arrived from my old company. Subject line, urgent consultation request. Mr. Dillard was being investigated. Lucas had signed off on several investment deals, shady ones. The board needed an external review team to clean up the mess, discreetly. They were offering double my previous salary. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Dana leaned over. Are you really thinking about it? I didn't answer, but I knew I was at a crossroads. Vengeance or vision. What would you do? I asked her. Dana smirked. I'd ask for triple. I scheduled the meeting, not because I wanted to save them, but because I wanted them to see me. When I walked into that glass conference room, Mr. Dillard's jaw tightened. Lucas wouldn't even look me in the eye. They were desperate. Miss Torres, one of the board members began, we need a third-party audit, discreet, fast, clean. I folded my arms. You don't need discretion. You need redemption. Mr. Dillard scoffed. We're not here for sermons. I met his gaze. Then you shouldn't have asked for me. I made them sweat. And then I did what I never thought I would. I agreed to help, but on my terms, triple the rate, full independence, and public acknowledgement of New Torch Consulting as lead partner. They signed. The next weeks were brutal. Dana and I pored over hundreds of transactions, found the leaks, cleaned up the credit frauds, spoke to banks, renegotiated shady loans, and dismantled every fake investment Lucas had buried under piles of jargon. By the end, the company was leaner, cleaner, and terrified of repeating the same mistake. On our final day there, I walked past Mr. Dillard's office. He called out to me, "Evelyn." I stopped. He looked older, smaller. "You were always better than I gave you credit for." I said nothing, but as I turned to leave, I heard him say softly, "May the Lord bless the work of your hands." I froze, then nodded once. Outside, Dana was waiting with a smile. Ready to go? More than ever. We stepped into the elevator together, and I felt it, that quiet, burning certainty deep in my chest. I hadn't just survived, I'd risen. The months that followed were unlike anything I had known. Our phones never stopped ringing. New Torch grew faster than I could have imagined, not because we were flashy, but because we were real. We helped widows understand their pension accounts. We fought banks that preyed on elderly clients with deceptive loan offers. We educated people about their credit rights and helped families reclaim homes they were days away from losing. Clients cried in our office. We cried with them. And through it all, something inside me changed. I no longer worked to prove myself to anyone. Not to Mr. Dillard, not to Jacob, not even to my own past. One morning, while reviewing our financials, Dana looked up and said, "You realize we've passed 7 figures?" I blinked, number I didn't. "You did it, Evie," she whispered. "You turned pain into power." I smiled, then picked up the phone. I called Jacob. "Come by," I said. When he arrived, I handed him a simple envelope. Inside, a check. $20,000. "What is this?" he asked, stunned. "Investment return," I said, "with interest." He shook his head. "I never expected." "I know," I interrupted. "That's why you're getting it." We sat in silence for a while. Then he asked softly, "Do you think there's ever another chance? For us?" I looked at him, really looked, and said, "I think some things are better rebuilt as something new." He nodded, tears forming. "I'll take that." From that day on, we stayed in touch, as friends, as people who had once fallen and now stood tall. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't chasing anything, I was choosing. By the start of our second year, we had opened a second office, hired 3 new consultants, and finally, I could afford to move out of that apartment above the bakery. Mrs. Langley cried when I told her. "Just promise you'll visit," she said. "Every Sunday," I smiled. But even in the glow of growth, something felt off. One afternoon, Dana rushed into my office, pale. "It's about the Anderson account," she said. "There's a problem." The Andersons were one of our biggest clients, retired farmers, trusted us with everything. "They took out a private investment loan last week," Dana explained. "But not with us. It was a name I recognized." She handed me the document. My stomach dropped. Jacob. He had started his own financial firm, and he hadn't told me. The contract he signed with the Andersons had steep fees and vague terms. It wasn't illegal, but it was close. I called him immediately. "What is this?" I asked, trying to steady my voice. He sighed. "It's a mistake. I didn't read all the terms. I trusted the wrong partner. You told me you'd changed." "I have, but I slipped." "People can't afford your slips, Jacob." He was silent. "I'll make it right," he said. "I'll make it right now." He did. Within 2 hours, the Andersons had their money back. Apologies were issued, contracts torn up. But something between us broke. That night, I sat alone in my new home, staring out at the city lights. And I remembered the verse Jacob once shared with me. "Whoever gathers little by little makes it grow." Trust was like that. And now I had to gather mine again, one day at a time. A month later, we were nominated for a national award, Independent Financial Firm of the Year. Dana and I flew out for the ceremony, both of us in borrowed gowns and high heels that hurt before we even left the hotel. Backstage, we waited as names were called, lights flashing, people clapping. I felt calm, not because I expected to win, but because I knew who I was now. Then came the announcement, and the winner is New Torch Consulting. Dana screamed. I froze. The applause felt like waves. And suddenly, I was walking onto the stage, under blinding lights, my name echoing in a room full of people who once would have never noticed me. At the podium, I took a breath. "I want to thank you," I began, "not for this award, but for seeing something we believed long before anyone else did." I paused, scanning the room. This company started with a single check from a man who once betrayed me. But more importantly, it was built by women who refused to give up, clients who trusted strangers with their pain, and faith I didn't even know I still had. I swallowed the lump in my throat. There's a verse that stayed with me through every sleepless night, Psalm 126, verse 5. "Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy." The room went silent. Then applause erupted, not polite, not forced, real. When I stepped down, Dana hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "You did it," she whispered. "You lit the torch." That night, in the quiet of the hotel room, I looked in the mirror, and for the first time in years, I saw not just a survivor. I saw a builder, a woman who chose faith over fear,